Hello, my name is Arnold, and you're welcome to my YouTube channel Pawn to Pro, where I've taken from beginner level interest to advanced level IM. Thank you for following my previous video on my previous series, which contains a lot of videos on basic chess concept. Today we'll begin with our first video in our series, Beginning Strategy. Beginning Strategy. Like, subscribe, and share this video. Let's dive right in. Today we'll be talking about planning concepts. Planning concepts will be our first topic on the series Beginning Strategy. The most difficult yet basic problem that confronts all chess players is coming up with a right plan for a given position. At the beginner level, the concept of a plan simply doesn't exist. The beginner casts his eyes about the chessboard, looking lovingly at his pieces. His pointed bishop, his well-manicured knights, and his powerful queen. With a sudden gleam, he just pushed the pawn anyhow. Oops! He trusts another pawn. The first move was not legal, the second move was legal. The first one was not legal, this one is legal. When it is his turn to move again, he proudly moves his rook. Such a daring move. So white plays his pawn to a4, black plays his pawn to e5, and then white move his rook to a3. As you can see from this position, the white don't have any plan, and so black bishop can take this rook, and white will lose their exchange. So his opponent swiftly captured his rook. So this will go on and on until white will be thoroughly beaten or all his pieces captured in such a humiliating manner. And then white will resign and the pieces are then arranged and another game starts. So that's how chess player goes about. Those who are learning, they play without any plan, and when they lose the game, set the pieces, start another game. Let's see how you lose this game fast. So his rook was captured. and so then white lost the exchange. So white set up his pieces and the whole process start again. If the ball sounds like you, don't grieve. In this tutorial, I will show you how to come up with a plan when starting your chess game. The first way to improve your game is by learning to look at the whole or the entire board. Now, take a look at the starting position. Take a look at the starting position. Imagine yourself on an ancient battlefield with equally matched armies ready to fight. With different skills and weaponry, it is important to see the whole battle as it takes place. You are almost like a general on a drawing board. You have to coordinate the pieces of your army against another top general too, who is also coordinating his pieces or his army. So you have some foot soldiers, some cannon, some cavalry, some archers. Each movement on this board has has to be coordinated. Coordination is key in planning your attack for this battle. A supply line may become vulnerable and a would-be hero is vanquished. Trading an archer for a few foot soldiers may seem sensible, but what if the opposing army archers picks off a number of your foot soldiers from a distance without a loss? Perhaps their decision wasn't good as you thought. So your decisions will have consequences. That's the beauty of chess. Your decisions have consequences. From the starting position, it is clear that the battles can begin at once all over the board, just as our Asian battle analogy I just made. It is very useful to know the terrain of the battle, the dips and the curves of the land. Battles can begin at any part of this board, this pawn or this pawn. And as a general who's coordinating your army, you should know the terrain of the land, the terrain, the curves, the hills, the valleys, the ditches that are on this battlefield. Now, if we draw an imaginary line between the fourth rank and the fifth rank, we draw two lines here. One line on the fifth rank, one line on the fourth rank. You will see that the chessboard has been divided into two halves. Black has its portion and white has its portion of the board. So white portion stops at the fourth rank and black portion stops at the fifth rank. With 32 squares for each side, the chessboard is made of 64 squares. So if we divide into two equal halves, white have 32 squares and black has 32 squares. 32 squares. White has a space and black has a space as well. When one player controls or attacks one of his opponent's squares, this is called gaining space. So if one of white pieces can attack any of these squares, we call it gaining space. It stands to reason that as we control more and more space or more and more squares of the board on our opponent's side, our opponent will have less room to move and become more restricted. The effort to control space is a time-honored strategy. Controlling space. So these are the spaces white is controlling in the black side of the board. Bishop is controlling this space, this space. The knight, this space, this space. The pawn, this space, this space. This pawn, this space, this space. So it stands to reason that as we control more and more squares of the board, our opponent will have less room to move and become more restricted. The effort to control space is a gem in our strategy studies. The central files, which is which is which is the D and the E file, are most often controlled by the rooks. So after you do not opening moves, it's advisable that you control the center with a rook. After you made an opening move and castle, you control the center of a rook. Always try to control the central file or open file with a rook. There are four squares in the middle of the bow: e4, e4, d4, e5, d5 are the key central squares. A great amount of the action takes place around them. They make marvelous outposts, particularly for knights. The player who effectively controls these squares is usually not always is usually in charge of the game, because sometimes other players will allow you to take control of the center and they attack with the flanks. But usually when you control the center of these four squares, you are in charge of the game. These four squares, key central squares, these squares are very important. These squares, besides ranks, one, two, three ranks, files, A, B, C, D, flanks. These are flanks. Center squares. Another way to look at the bow is along its diagonal. The H1 H8 diagonal, the A1 H8 diagonal, this H1 A8 diagonal, this A1 H8 diagonal. There are a lot of other smaller diagonals on the bow. These are diagonal, these are diagonal as well. So you can look at the bow through diagonals as well. Besides ranks and files, flanks, and center square, you can view the bow through diagonals. The long diagonals for black is the longest diagonal for black is the A1 H8 diagonal. The longest diagonal for white is the H1 A8 diagonal. And these diagonals are effective when you place bishop in these positions, whether the king side or the queen side. Bishop in this position are very, very efficient. Bishops are very effective in these diagonals. Bishops. To solidify these few planning concepts, let's go over some drill. You have to move the bishop to the longest diagonal for black. You have to move the bishop to the longest diagonal for black. This is a long diagonal for black. Drill 2. Play the moves that control the greatest number of center square for white. Play the move. So we move the knight to f3. In this position, the knight is controlling more central squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Unlike playing the knight to h3. Another drill. Select the 4 central squares. The 4 central squares. These are the 4 central squares. E4, D4, E5, and D5. These are the 4 central squares. White to move. White to move. Move the rook to its optimal square. White to move the rook to its optimal square. This is the optimal square for the rook because this file is an open file. Rooks are efficient on open files. The file that was on first was being blocked by the black pawn e5. Identify all the squares on the black square diagonal, the longest black square diagonal. The longest black square diagonal is A1, H8 diagonal. So all the squares that are here, these are the squares on the longest black diagonal. On which table lines are bishop more efficient, or they do the best? On which table lines are bishop more efficient? It's diagonals. Diagonals. Bishop and diagonals are more efficient or do the best work on diagonals. Identify all the squares in black territory that white is controlling. So we have to identify the squares in black territory that white is controlling. So from the 4th rank downwards is white territory. From the 5th rank to the 8th rank is black territory. So all the files or squares that has been controlled by white in the black territory. Let's start with the bishop. Bishop is controlling these squares. Let's start with the rook in black territory. Rook is controlling these squares. These squares. So the squares the rook are controlling in the black territory. Let's go to the knight. The knight is controlling this square and this square in black territory. Pawn, this square and this square. And then the last one, the queen. The queen is controlling this square, this square, this square, and this square in the black territory. So these are all the squares in the black territory that white is controlling. These are all the squares. I forgot this square as well. All the green squares. The queen is controlling these squares. The bishop, these squares. These are all the squares that has been controlled in black territory by white. Move the black bishop to the long diagonal. Move the black bishop to the long diagonal. Play the move that controls the most number of central square for black. Over is a knight move, not a pawn move. If you play a pawn move, black controlling 2 squares. So play a knight move. Black to move the rook to its optimal square. Black to move the rook to its optimal square. Not here. Because if you want to attack by the white queen, this one is better. Identify the squares on the left square diagonal, the right square diagonal. The left square diagonal is A8. To H1. These are the squares on the left square diagonal. Identify all the squares in the white territory that black is controlling. All the squares in white territory that is being controlled by black. First thing first, we identify black territory. This is black territory from rank 5 downwards. Black territory from the fourth rank to the first rank is white territory. So let's see. Let's identify all the squares being controlled by black. This is pawn, this square, this square. This pawn, this square, this square. This knight, this square, this square. This bishop, this square, this square, this square, and this square. The rook, this square, this square, yes. Yes, okay, this square, the rook as well. The queen, this square, this square, this square, and this square. So these are the squares being controlled by the black pieces in white's territory. Thanks for your time on this first video in our series of beginning strategy. We did opening concept. Our next video will be on opening principles. Don't miss it. Like, subscribe, and share this video. See you next time.